Hello everyone, welcome to another Antares Shipyard video here on YouTube. This is going to be the first in a new series that I'm recording where I go back and review some of the older packs. In these reviews I will look at each card that comes in the pack and we'll talk about the good and bad things about the card. I will also discuss possible combinations and complementary cards that will pair well with the cards that we're talking about. In this review we will be looking at Wave 0 pack for the U.S.S. Enterprise, also known in the game as the Tiny Prize. This pack is based around the TOS Enterprise and her crew from their famous 5-year mission. In total, there are 13 cards in this pack that we're going to review. But before we get to the review, I wanted to talk just a little bit about my grading warp factor scale. The warp factor scale goes from warp 1 to warp 10, warp 1 being the worst card and warp 10 being the best card. I have multiple factors that play into my personal grading for these cards. Some of those factors are, but not limited to, the card ability, how the card itself stands on its own, and how the card stands in a combo with other cards. And of course, many more like that. These gradings are completely from my point of view and should not be taken as gospel. Fair warning is that I tend to be a fairly easy grader, and I welcome all of your feedback. If you think I was too lenient or too harsh on a card, please let me know in the comment section below. Now, let's get started. The first card that we're going to look at in this pack is, of course, the U.S.S. Enterprise herself. This is a Constitution-class ship with a stat line of 3 attack, 1 defense, 4 hull, and 3 shields. The U.S. Enterprise has 1 weapons upgrade and 4 crew slots. The ship's ability reads, the U.S.S. Enterprise can perform an action listed on the action bar while it has an auxiliary power token. The U.S.S. Enterprise comes with the standard Federation action bar of evade, target, lock, scan, and battle station. The ship also costs 22 SP to field in your fleet. My first thought about this ship is that the ability is great. It allows the player to ignore those pesky aux power tokens and keep on trucking with their normal actions off the action bar. What really hurts the Enterprise here is that it does not come with a natural tech slot. Granted, there are multiple ways to get a tech slot onto a ship, but just not having one from the start is hurting it for me. I do feel that with this being a TOS era ship, that the stat line is actually fairly good. And of course, there are also multiple cards in the game that can bring those stat lines up. So let's take a look at the combos that can pair well with this ship. We've got Pavel Chekhov, who can remove an aux power token after doing a white maneuver. You've got Type 8 phaser array and of course upgraded phasers that can raise the primary weapon value. And then there's this new card from the animated faction pack called Full Power Phaser Barrage. Gives +2 to the stat line of the Constitution class, plus you get to roll 3 additional attack dice for any hit or crit that goes through. So pros, you can do an action while doing an aux power token. The ship itself has a 180-degree firing arc, so that is great for coverage. The cons here, no tech upgrade slot, and no rear firing arc. I gave this ship a grade, my warp factor grade of 8. I believe that's a high-performing ship and can be very useful to newer and older players alike. So the next card in the pack is a generic Constitution class. 3 attack, 1 defense, 4 hull, and 2 shields. Comes with a weapon slot and 2 crew slots. Standard Federation action bar, and thanks to the animated faction pack, the Constitution classes have been recosted down to 16 points. Again, it's got a 180-degree firing arc on it as well. With the recosting of these ships, running a fleet of Constitution class ships has become more appealing in the game nowadays. Again, no native tech slot, so that kind of hurts it, but there are still cards that make this ship better. You've got Natasha Yar, who can add weapon slots in the event that you want to use Type 8's upgraded phasers, and of course you got Type 8 upgraded phasers to raise the attack value, and then you have this card, I believe it comes from the Enterprise B. It is the improved phasers. So I gave this card a grade of warp factor 6. It has some versatility and can be run in a swarm style fleet setting. The first captain card we're going to look at from this pack is Captain Christopher Pike. Skill 6, Elite Talent Slot, cost of 4. His ability reads that all of your crew upgrades cost -1 squadron point. Discount cards are always great to have in your fleet. The fact that this card does not specify a specific faction is even better. Pike allows you to place a non-faction card onto the ship, and he'll take care of the faction penalty. The biggest problem with this card that I see is that it has a low captain skill. Sitting at a captain skill 6, a lot more captains will be able to do things before you, such as combat and other things like that. However, there are ways to boost his captain skill up to the maximum of +3, so it's possible to get him up to a skill 9. Some cards that pair well with this is going to be Sakona, who gives discounts to weapon upgrades. You've got William T. Riker from the U.S.S. Hood. Pike would make that a 2-point card. And you've got Gul Damar here from the new Cardassian faction pack, Gul Damar will boost Captain Pike's captain skill up to a skill 8, while remaining at a cost 2, because Pike will pay for that faction penalty. I gave this card a grade of 7. He is not a bad captain, especially for newer players who are starting to experiment with cross-factioning. The next captain in this pack is the man himself, James T. Kirk. Kirk comes as a skill 9 with 2 elite talent slots and a cost of 6. Any Federation elite talent upgrades you purchase for Kirk cost exactly 3 squadron points and are placed face down beside his card. Each upgrade remains face down until you decide to use it, and then it is turned up face up for the rest of the game. So the pros here, he's an elite talent discounter, and he's got 2 elite talent slots. There are no real cons that I can see to him. His costing of 6 is a little high, but with the recosting of cards coming, it may actually end up balancing out in the end. So some cards that you could pair well with Kirk. Attack Pattern Omega already costs 3, but you can hide it, and that's the main point of that card. So that allows you to hand out a Warp Core Breach. Cheat Death is a card that you can discount down to 3. Legacy of the Name is another card if you're going to play an Enterprise, or Kirk on the Enterprise. You can hide this card underneath him and allow you to get yourself a free action doing whatever. So I gave Kirk a grade of 8. He is a good skill 9 captain, hired skill captain. If you don't take, even if you don't use his ability, you can just take him for him being a skill 9. So it's great for newer players who are trying to learn the captain skill initiative and how the captain skill runs the game today. He's a good card for that. The first elite talent that comes in this pack is Cheat Death. If your ship was just destroyed, discard this card to remove damaged cards one at a time from your ship card until the amount of damage is 1 point less than your hull value. Flip all remaining damaged cards face down, cost of 5. Okay, so this card on the surface, it saves your ship to fly for another round, and you can. It doesn't specify what damage cards get removed first. So if you have a pesky critical damage card attached to your ship, you can discard that. The cons, generally when you see this card played, it is in a multiple combo set, and that combo is going to need another elite talent slot in it. So, cards that pair well, you've got Tasha Yar from the Mirror Universe. She gives a free attack when your ship's has been destroyed. You've got the Amar, who gives you an attack once your ship has been hit. So you could save the Amar until the very last second, fire its weapons, or use its ship ability to fire, and then use Cheat Death to save it. Then the last card is I Stab at Thee. It allows you to roll 3 attack dice of your ship against all ships within range 1 of you if your ship was just destroyed. I gave this card a grade of 8. Again, this is a card that you get it gets play in today's meta. It does see some play. I Stab at Thee and the Tasha Yar is the aforementioned combo, but it's a good card. The next elite talent slot is the Cochran Deceleration Maneuver. Action. If you performed a 1 forward maneuver this round, discard this upgrade to come about reverse direction. Place an auxiliary power token beside your ship. Okay, so the pro of this card is that it is essentially a 1 come about. Fleet building cons is that it's super expensive. So this is another card that you could probably hide under Kirk fairly easily for 3 points versus the 5. But let's look at the cards that pair well. So you've got Pavel Chekhov, who allows you to remove an auxiliary power token when you do a white maneuver. So you could turn your ship around, get the aux power, and then the next round do a white maneuver or green maneuver and get rid of that aux power with Chekhov. Benjamin Sisko comes from the new Federation faction pack that just released a couple months ago. He allows you at the end phase to just chuck one of the aux power tokens out the airlock. And then an interesting ship that this could be paired with is the U.S.S. Avenger. The Avenger needs an aux power token to activate its ship ability. So this could be a way to get you that aux power token for that ship. Overall, I gave this card a grade of 5. It's not one that you see get played very often, because there are easier ways to get a 1 come about. Now looking at the next elite town in the pack, you've got the Corbomite Maneuver. Action. Discard this upgrade to prevent all enemy ships from attacking you this round. You cannot attack this round. Okay, so the pro here is that this is an attack cancellation card. It allows you a chance to come up on your enemy and then say, "Not today," and discard this so that no enemy ships can attack you this round. The caveat is also that you can't attack. So I don't think there are any cards that really pair well with this, as this card just kind of stands on its own. So I gave this card a grade of 7. Attack cancellation is starting to become a big part of this game, especially in the meta itself. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this maybe pop up somewhere in the future. I think the cost of 5 hurts it, but it's well worth it. The next card in the pack is the Photon Torpedoes. They come with a weapon of 4. It's a 4 attack dice attack, range 2 to 3, cost of 3. Attack. Target lock. Spend your target lock and disable this card to perform this attack. You may convert one of your battle station results into a crit. You may fire this weapon from your forward or rear firing arcs. Okay, so this is one of the original Photon Torpedo cards that got dropped. The card art that's being shown in the video is not the same, but that's because I have only one version of the card art for each Photon Torpedo scanned in. So, fleet building pros here. Lower costs, lower SP cost. So it's not running into that 5 cost that you'll see with later torpedoes. Another pro is it's got a passive conversion on it. So you can convert a battle station to a crit. That's great. Fleet building cons, it's a disable and target lock. This was in a point in the game before time tokens were a thing. So disabling and spending your target lock, really those are 2 actions to try and get your Photon Torpedoes back. This is going to at least take you 2 rounds to get those fired again. So cards that pair well here. Sakona can discount this card down to a 1-point Photon Torpedo. Ingarin is another nice conversion thing that you can do, where you can convert another battle station to a crit and then all your other battle stations to hits. And then Captain Spock, you may perform a target lock or a scan action as a free action this round. So he kind of helps your action economy trying to get these torpedoes fired. So I gave these torpedoes a grade of 6. They're not the greatest thing in the world, as newer torpedoes kind of surpass it, but it's still usable, especially to those players who don't have access to the newer torpedoes. The first crew in this pack is Hikaru Sulu. Action. Add 2 to your agility for the rest of this round. Each time you defend this round, you may convert one battle station result into an evade result. So, a fleet building pro here is that he adds 2 defense dice to your roll, and he has a passive conversion. The fleet building con here is that he's an action, but there are ways around that, so it's not terribly a detriment to your build. So let's look at some of the cards that it pairs well with. The new animated faction pack, James T. Kirk, where it allows you to place a scan token or a battle station token beside your ship, and then do a crew action as a free action. So that's a combo that's getting played quite a bit nowadays. You also you can pair him with Hood Riker to get your +3 defense dice, and then you can have 2 battle station conversions with those dice. And then Jean-Luc Picard from the starter set, you can do Sulu as your action, and then Picard will allow you to do a free action off his action bar there. Overall, I gave this card a grade of Warp Factor 8. It is a great card that is seeing play in today's meta. It allows those Federation ships that aren't super defensible to become defensible, as well as being paired with the likes of James T. Kirk and other cards that allow you to get other actions done. He doesn't necessarily take away from your action economy like you would think he would. The next crew in the pack is Leonard McCoy. Discard McCoy to allow one of your crew upgrades to perform its action as a free action this round. Comes at a cost of 3. The pro, he's a free action. The other pro is that he's a combo enabler. So he doesn't have any cards specifically that he's going to pair well with, because he's one of those cards that allows you to do things. So you can do an action. You can do like a target lock action if you need to, and then you can discard McCoy to do that Sulu action to try and get yourself more defense dice. He's just one of those enablers that allows you to do things. So he gets a Warp Factor grade of 7. It's a good card. The cost, I think, is just right for what he does. It hurts that he's a discard and you can only do it once, but I understand. Overall, skill 7, I would look at him as somebody who enables combos to happen. Alright, we've got Nyota Uhura as the next crew. Discard Uhura immediately before you move in order to change your maneuver for this round. Okay, so a fleet building pro here. She allows you to fix your movement. So if you make a mistake or you misjudge somebody, because lower captain skill moves first, you can discard Uhura to change your movement and to fix it. Now this is becoming a little bit of a subset in the game itself, to where you're able to change your movement on the fly. And cards that pair well with this are Eric's. He allows you to change your maneuver as well. Chemosite, another card that allows you to change your maneuver. And Helmsman. So if you change your maneuver with Uhura, and then go, oh shoot, I must have misjudged again, and you want to correct it either using Chemosite or Helmsman from Alliance, you definitely can. Like I said, this is becoming a nice little subset in the game itself, to where you're allowed to make a mistake and then correct it. So I gave Uhura a Warp Factor grade of 6. It's not something that you see too often in the competitive meta, but it does exist, it does happen. I think Eric's was used. Chemosite is probably the most competitive out of all those cards listed. But Uhura, she's just there to allow you to fix a mistake. The next crew in the pack is Montgomery Scott. Action: disable 2 of your shields in order to gain +2 attack dice this round. Or repair 1 shield token and reduce your total attack dice by 2 this round. Okay, so at the cost of 5 on him. On the surface, the big pro here is that he is 2 actions for the price of 1. So he allows you to do 2 different things for the price of 1 crew, which is always good. He allows you to either increase your attack or try and help your defense. So cards that he pairs well with here, you can do Meridorn Gorn Ale, where if you're going to reduce your attack dice, you can use Gorn Ale to bring that attack dice back up. Leonard McCoy is another one of these guys. He's a combo enabler, so you can allow Scott on the fly to fix your stuff. And then Exocomp is another one, where you could have Scotty fix a shield and Exocomp fix a hull. So I gave Scotty a warp factor grade of 6. Again, it's not a card that you see get played very often. It's very much in this niche of healer cards that are in the game. I would like to see them get played more often, but they're not super competitive in the meta. But it's good for at-home games against your friends. Definitely look at comboing him with some other things. The new animated faction pack Enterprise is another one. I believe the Mirror Universe Montgomery Scott is also another. So there's ways to make him better. And the last crew in this set is Mr. Spock. If the ship has a scan token beside it, when you attack, you may convert all of your battle station results into hit results. Cost of 5 points. Okay, so the fleet building pros here. Passive conversions, always good. Scan tokens matter again. The Vulcan faction pack that was released earlier this year, earlier in 2021, really plays heavily on scan tokens. So scan tokens actually matter again, with the Vulcans falling into the Federation as a sub-faction. The con to Mr. Spock here is that it costs a skill of 5 for what he does. Again, there's ways to discount that down, but I think the easiest way I've seen get him onto a ship is to hide him underneath Genesis device, or Genesis effect. If you're within range of planet, you can bring a crew out for free. That crew doesn't cost you anything. That's just a fun way to get him on the ship. But some cards he pairs well with. The U.S.S. Tacumba, where you perform a scan action, you place an additional scan action. So you've got 2 scans. Beta Hirogen's the same way. So with those 2 cards, you can do Mr. Spock or Valtane, somebody like that, to kind of play off both of the scan tokens. Animated version James T. Kirk, we're going to place a scan or a battle station and then do a crew action as a free action. So you could have Kirk, Mr. Spock, and Sulu all on a ship, and get the start the ability on all 3 of them. And that's a good card. That's the sign of a good card. So my grading for this card is a warp factor 9. As I said, the fact that it's passive really plays into my high grading on it. The fact that scan tokens are, again, becoming an integral part of the game plays into it. I highly recommend looking for getting this Mr. Spock to play with. If newer players don't have him, as he helps you convert those red dice that can be so fickle. So overall, the pack's warp factor grade is a 7. It's not the greatest pack in the world, and you don't necessarily need to have it. But for those people who are trying to collect the attack wing ships, it is a must-have. For those who are trying to learn the game and play and get better at the game, it is a must-have. There are cards in here that really help you. The U.S.S. Enterprise itself is an iconic ship within the Star Trek ethos and is a must-have for any attack wing collector. So thank you everybody for watching my review of the U.S.S. Enterprise pack. You can find it. Sometimes they have it in stock in miniature markets. I think my local game store has it, the Gamers Wharf in Grand Rapids, Michigan. If you are looking there, I know he does ship out product to people who purchase it all over the United States and some international shipping. And I think the other place to look is eBay. There is one eBay seller that I highly recommend. He's the guy who helped me finish my collections off. You'll know when you see him because I think he's got at least 73 listings to date on here. But yes, I think this ship overall is something that you should have in your collection, especially for those who are just starting out. So again, thank you for watching to the end. Consider giving the video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more content that's coming out in the future. Live long and prosper, everyone.